Welcome to another unit of the ISM exercise set Business Mathematics. This time with a unit on derivatives. Let's have a look at the exercise. Calculate the first derivatives of the following functions. Then we have x divided by x plus x to the power of 2. Second one being 2 times sinus 1 minus x to the power of 3. And finally, the last one, the logarithm of 1 divided by 1 plus x to the power of 2. Okay, let's work our way through these three functions step by step. We start with the first one here, x divided by 1 plus x squared. Here we see this is a fractional function, rational function. So what we need here for our derivatives is the so-called quotient rule. So we need to determine what's g, what's h, so what's the part above and the part below the fraction line, numerator, denominator. So here g is x, and the derivative of g thereby is 1. Same for h. H is the one below the fraction line, so here 1 plus x squared, and the derivative of h thereby is 2x. And with this information, we can then just plug this into our formula. So we have 1 times 1 plus x squared minus, then we have g, that's x, times 2x. And all of this is divided by 1 plus x squared in parentheses squared. This looks as follows. Then we can just summarize, especially the part above the fraction line, giving us here 1 minus x squared divided by 1 plus x squared in parentheses squared. Well, this then already concludes the first part. We continue with the second function. The second function here was 2 times sinus 1 minus x to the power of 3. So the 2 is no problem. So the 2 is a constant. We can just disregard this and just write this before whatever the derivative of the second part is. However, with the second part, we have one function, the sinus function, which is applied on a second function. That's the 1 minus x to the power of 3. So what we need here is the chain rule. And if we take a look here, we see that our function g is 1 minus x to the power of 3, and our function h is the sinus. So let's start first with g, and the derivative of g, so the inner derivative here, is minus 3x to the power of 2. So the 3 is pulled before the x and then reduced by 1, giving us this derivative. Then the function g has been inserted into the function sinus. So sinus function here is our outer function. We can directly use this with 2 sinus. We could have done this with only sinus. Won't change because the derivative of h is cosinus. So here the 2 remains the same. So if I would have just added this 2 afterwards, or consider this here as well, this won't change. The important part is that the outer function sinus, when derived, gives the cosinus. Then what we are going to do, we're multiplying inner derivative, so minus 3x to the power of 2 times outer function derived, so times 2 times cosinus z, and instead of z we should write g again, so it's 2 cosinus 1 minus x to the power of 3. So first off, we have the minus 3x squared times 2 times cosinus of 1 minus x to the power of 3, and the minus 3x squared times 2, that's just summarized here to minus 6x squared. Well, this then also already finishes part 2. We can turn to the third function and the final part of this exercise. Here, the function was logarithm of 1 divided by 1 plus x squared. We could use chain rule together with a quotient rule, which would make this exercise pretty hard, or rather long. Or we can just start thinking that we could just rewrite this function. We have the rules for the logarithm, which always say if you have logarithm of a divided by b, you can just write this as logarithm a minus logarithm b. So here we could just write this as logarithm of 1 minus the logarithm of 1 plus x squared. The logarithm of 1 is 0, so we can just leave this, giving us here the function as minus logarithm of 1 plus x squared. That's still a chain rule, but the inner function is way easier to be derived. So we're using the chain rule. First off, we're taking a look at the inner function. Here it's 1 plus x squared. If we derive this, we get 2x. Now, the outer function here is minus logarithm, and the derivative of the logarithm is 1 by z, so here it's minus 1 by z. Then we just plug all of this together again. So we have the derivative of g being 2x times minus 1 divided by, and instead of z we write g, so 2x times minus 1 divided by 1 plus x squared. That's what it looks like, and then we can just move the 2x to the top of the fraction. Then it looks as minus 2x divided by 1 plus x squared. Solving thereby the third and final part of this exercise. And well, I hope you enjoyed listening to this part. You might have learned something from it, taken something away from it. And if you want to see more of this type of exercises, feel free to visit the rest of this exercise set or take a look at the corresponding playlist. I say goodbye and see you next time.